Hello folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another historic video. Today we're going to be taking the #1 historic deck from last season into the historic FNM event, which lets you play with any cards even if you don't necessarily own them. So this was a really cool opportunity for me to try out a deck that I've been wanting to play for a long time. So in case you're not familiar with the background here, the same player took this exact list here to like the first place slot on the Mythic ladder almost every day of the last season. I think they missed like one day or something like that, or got like 15 out of the last 16 days. So this list has very much proven itself. They were playing best of 3, and there is a sideboard available for this deck, but we're going to be trying out best of 1 today, and we're going to see how these goblins fare. The idea isn't so far off from Legacy Goblins in that you want to cheat in a Muxus as quickly as possible, while Legacy gets to do that off a Goblin Lackey potentially on turn 2. Instead, this version of the deck has to hard cast it. So you have Goblin Warchief to make them cheaper, you get Skirk Prospector to convert your goblins into mana, and then you have other things that give you assorted advantages. Wily Goblin gives you a treasure token, so it's kind of like a weird ramping goblin. Conspicuous Snoop lets you get some goblins off the top of your library. Matron tutors for Muxus. And a lot of times this deck doesn't actually win with Muxus, it wins just by attacking with a bunch of hasty goblins after you drop a Krenko into play. So we're just gonna jump into a handful of matches here. The goal is to play this deck for about half an hour and see how we feel about it. This is a deck that I would already be playing if I had enough wildcards to do it, but I think it required something like 16 rare wildcards, and I just didn't have enough to do that. Okay. So I have a hand with a Muxus. I'm going to guess that that means that I should probably keep this. Dark Prospector is also just mana, and that's a-okay with me. I am going to need to draw something to bridge the mid-game with this hand. That's the big thing that stands out to me right now that I don't necessarily have. So I'm going to lose the Muxus here, and then this hand, while not quite dead in the water, is going to be wanting for a decent amount. So let's go ahead and play this tapped, play out a new Skirk Prospector, and then go ahead and send in the troops. So next turn my clock does increase quite a bit by playing this Goblin Chieftain. So we can be looking at a sweeper, in which case I won't have a lot to come back from here. Yeah. Yeah. Alright. So we got the 3-for-1. A little rough. I'm gonna assume the Shatterskull Smashing is going to convert into a spell at this point. And something like a Muxus or a Goblin Matron will do a lot of work. But I'm going to have to start worrying about something like a Karn or Ugin coming down just very quickly. So this can be 3 points of damage right now. So I guess let's just cash this in. Send in the troops, and now another land will... Oh no, this can't hit players? Creatures or planeswalkers. This is worse than I thought it was. Thought this was also just, like, amazing reach. Unfortunate. I mean... I guess if I trade for a Guardian Idol, that's not the worst. Certainly not good. Oh, there's something else in addition to that. What else is coming? Oh, nothing. Okay, it was just floating mana. I guess I could have played this untapped for 3 life and then gotten 1 more damage in this turn. I probably want to keep this in case my opponent does just, like, grab a planeswalker. Then I have at least some realistic chance of coming back from it. Okay, I can get this out of the way and represent lethal here and it won't matter. I don't know that my opponent was deterministically dead there, unlike so many of my cards kill them, but seems like that was an early concession if they played out that many turns. We'll see though. Hard to tell what things look like from their side. I go first, huh? This hand is not overly exciting to me. I don't know how aggressively I should be mulliganing. It has a good amount of utility. It can find a Muxus. It doesn't have any mana acceleration, though, and it doesn't have a Kiki Jiki, which is often one of the more exciting things that this deck can do. I'm still going to keep it, under the assumption that this hand is a little bit better than I think it is. Okay. So I will drop the Snoop. Making my goblins cost a little bit less is something I am really on board with. And I think I'm going to go ahead and drop that into play right now. It means the Matron becomes much more interesting next turn. So Matron costs 2 mana, meaning that I can tutor for something that costs 3 and drop it into play. Or, like, play Chieftain plus Matron or something like that. I wonder if it's correct to just play a second Chieftain here. Feels like it might just be correct to drop this second one. Now I have to ask the question, like, who is the beatdown? Is it me or is it them? It might be me since I can attack for 10 this turn. Yeah, let's assume that I'm the beatdown here. An interesting form of selection. Okay. I think this turn is more or less going to play itself. It's going to be a Matron for a Muxus. And then we'll drop the Wily Goblin as well, which will be my 6th mana to cast that next turn. Alright, so opponent will be sort of at our mercy. They have tapped out. They have a few creatures, but if the Muxus is good, it's probably lights out for them. No thank you. Oh, now I don't even need to give up the treasure. I will allow my opponent to do the math, but this seems good for me. Narrator's voice. It was indeed good for him. By the way, this is the first video that I have recorded with this new mic, so if my audio settings are off at all, and you know enough to actually comment on that intelligently, please let me know. This is sort of a test video on 2 different levels, both literally of these goblin cards that I haven't gotten a chance to play with before, and of the microphone setup. So if something like my own voice volume is too high, or if the arena background noise is too high, please let me know. Alright, I have access to a Muxus, so I think that means I keep this hand. It looks like I am going to want to be deploying all of these lands, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and play this tapped on turn 1. So this is an event where you can just test out whatever, so when there's less on the line, I suppose some people just drop if they don't like their opening hand. I guess that's not unexpected, but you know, I'm looking at battle. Okay, this is a lot of Shatter Skull smashing, probably too many. This hand can produce a fast-ish Muxus. Oh, sorry, that's a Krenko, not a Muxus. Yeah, I guess I keep this. This is weird, though. This hand becomes a little bit questionable if I don't draw a 1 or 2 drop this turn, and my opponent is also doing something aggressive. But, you know, c'est la vie, so it goes. Okay, we're facing a mirror match. I can play Wily Goblin, sacrifice it, have 2 black and 1 red, and not really go anywhere. Things are going to get a lot more interesting on my turn, though. Krenko plus Phyrexian Tower will probably get cute. Alright, so Can Krenko for 3 mana this turn. Tap it. Create a couple of goblins. It might actually be better to play Krenko next turn and just get Wily Goblin and Goblin Chieftain into play now. Because that uses my red the best. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7 I can crash in for. Yeah, I think I'm good for just crashing in. And then next turn I play Franco, tap it, and potentially kill my... Oh, Mind Stone is interesting. I wanted to continue this game. You weren't that far behind. Alright, so I guess there are some downsides to playing in this format where you get to test everything. People aren't fighting it out for quite as long as I might like. But I do love this as an arena feature. Like, I totally dig it. I go first. Yes. Okay, everyone is here testing goblins. Our opponent potentially has a much stronger hand than I do. If they go like something like a Wily Goblin this turn, they can be having a lot of mana before I do. I would absolutely trade my Chieftain for both of their creatures. That's so much mana. Okay, so this is a potential source of card advantage over time. But right now, I'm the beatdown, and my opponent probably doesn't have the resources to control my board. So them taking a turn off to cast this is interesting. Probably just indicative that they don't have another playable card. So the fear here is that our opponent just plays a Muxus this turn and I die. But that's always kind of going to be the fear. And that might have been a reason to leave back exactly one goblin. That's fine, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They cost 1 less? They cost 1 less. So my opponent can sack both of their creatures to play a Muxus. And then it's a little bit of a gamble whether or not I'm dead. Yeah, I really like leaving back 1 goblin. Oh no, they didn't have to sack both their creatures. Oh, there was like Phyrexian Tower involved. So this gets +1/+1 for each other goblin you control. So that's another 4 damage. This is 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'm not dead. On my opponent's turn... Oop. Alright, opponent getting their damage in while they could. Yeah, if they had any other play other than that horn, it was probably better to do that. I don't know whether or not they did. Racking up my daily rewards, though. So I've got that going for me. This is an example of a hand that I don't really think has a real game plan. I don't think doing nothing until turn 3 is acceptable. This is better. I'm going to go ahead and keep this. And I don't actually think the Conspicuous Snoop is all that good. I'm going to go ahead and bottom that. Like, that's not going to be the card that I'm playing on curve. I think Wily Goblin is better. All right. Oh, yeah. I've got cool things coming. So, do I matron this turn? No, I don't think I do. I think I just go ahead and jam the Krenko here. My opponent has a removal spell. They have a removal spell. I'm not 100% sure what deck they're playing yet. I've only seen 2 colors when I'm kind of expecting another. We want to get a haste enabler in play. Now let's go ahead and activate this. And we can go ahead and send them at this point. I expect that we've won this one already. We'll see. My opponent missing an early land drop is kind of a big deal. Yeah. They could have anticipated on their turn as well. Alright, what are you copying? It's got to be gas. Oh. I might have just died. Okay, so if memory serves, they do this for dual caster mages 4 different times, and then they do it a couple of times for glass pool mimics. And then they do something that gives them haste. I guess I need to, like, keep them honest and make sure that card's not in their hand. Because if it is in their hand... Yeah. Okay, so I guess I take back what I said about they're missing a land drop being disastrous. Whoops. C'est la vie, so it goes. I am unsure what is taking so long. Alright, I will keep this hand very gladly. Likely to be paying life for this. Sorry, what? Okay, I don't know what's going on. I know that I'm going to cast a Krenko and try to overpower whatever my opponent is doing. But I don't know what they're doing. I think I just go for mana here. Like, I don't know whether or not I would be blocking this with my 2/2. I just have no idea what sort of combat tricks I'm supposed to be playing around here, or what sort of removal I'm supposed to be playing around. Chieftain this turn, Krenko next turn, save the treasure. I think so. I am legitimately unsure, though. This is an instant, right? It is not. What are they doing? Okay, so we're looking at some sort of token-based strategy. So are there just like some sort of weird anthem effects in there? Ah. So now they're gonna get like an Olamog or something. Okay. So this is actually probably fine. Yeah. Opponents are coming up with some pretty interesting brews, though. This Goblins deck definitely feels powerful. But we're not playing against a lot of the traditional decks that I would expect to be seeing. You know, haven't seen Sacrifice, haven't seen some sort of like Bug, Sultai deck, whatever you want to call it. Haven't seen Auras or Life Gain. Like, a lot of the things that I'm commonly seeing, we're just not running into. People are just testing fun stuff. My opponent has taken a mulligan. My hand is borderline a mulligan. On the draw, I have 2 chances to hit an early play, though. I think I'm going to keep this and see how it turns out. So thus far, I haven't really liked this card. Alright, and now I missed on my 2 draws, and my opponent is probably going to be a considerable amount ahead on board. I would say I now expect to lose this game the majority of the time after missing those draws. So my way to catch up is probably play War Chief. And then play multiple spells, followed by a Muxus that just wins me the game. I'm gonna have to win through a Krenko, though. Which is kind of problematic. Oh, no! Krenko was on top of their library, and now, like, they have a real Krenko as well. This is disastrous. They can Phyrexian Tower one of these for 2 mana, tap for a red, sacrifice 1 for another red, make a whole bunch more goblins. Oh yeah, I am dead. So in all of the time that I've been playing Historic, that's the first time I've actually seen someone activate a conspicuous Snoop for Krenko off the top of their library. And I played a good amount of this format. This isn't a format that has top of the library manipulation for things like Brainstorm most of the time. So, like, whatever's there is just there. And I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna ship this one. I'm not gonna beat that. All right, let's do one more. Let's not end on the note where I kept kind of a sketchy hand, missed, and died. Deck's fun. It's definitely powerful. I don't know that I'm going to play the Shatter Skull Smashings in the version that I play. They feel a little questionable to me. They might have a very specific use that I'm just not seeing, though, in the matchups that I'm playing. It also may be that the damage that you take from it doesn't tend to be relevant in a lot of matchups. All right, just Goblin Mirrors. That's what we're here for. Do I offer to trade Skirk Prospectors? I think I do. Opponent accepts. So the reason that I'm willing to trade is that I don't have a combo-centric hand. I have kind of a grindy hand. Like, I'm looking to draw some bonus cards off Conspicuous Snoop, maybe, over the course of a game, or something of that general nature. So I'm trying to shut down my opponent's combo ability a bit. So my opponent does have a treasure, so they could play something like a Krenko this turn. A lot of times you're trying to play the Krenkos when they have haste, though. Oh, yep, there we go. Alright, apparently I just get a lot of these.
When people start screaming, I know I'm on track. It's playtime!
Okay, as long as I keep this alive, I just get to Muxus next turn. So I think I'm going to go ahead and go no attacks here. It plays around a hasty creature a little bit better. Or a lord or something. Okay, that's a lot of creatures that hit play.
Yup, you're going down.
I know at least a Goblin Chieftain is there. And I hit a Krenko, which is fantastic. Alright, that's a better note to end on. Okay, folks, I hope you enjoyed this little historic treat. If you've made it this far in the video, please like the video, help more people find my historic content. The last time I did a historic video, it didn't get very many views or likes or anything like that, and it just kind of got lost in the ether. And if you want to see more like this, you know, do what you can to help YouTube's algorithm find this. Have a great rest of the day.